All right, so we're gonna start with the head gasket comparison. So I have a Felpro. This is the factory head gasket. The part number is 921 PT1. And if you can see, gives all what this goes to the EV1, EV2, the EWs. So this is a factory Felpro. Well, it's a Felpro gasket, and then this is the D16z6, the MLS head gasket, which is the part number is 9915. It goes for the D6Z6, the Y5, the Y7, and the Y8 from 99 to 02. So I usually on a stock engine, I'll use a Felpro gasket. That's what I prefer, especially the 3W. That's what we really have for options anymore for a decent head gasket. So we'll get this open. I just bought this one for the comparison of the video. I mean, I'll keep it around because you never know, I may need a head gasket for an EW, but we'll see what happens. So, got this one out. This is actually a pretty decent head gasket for being composite. This is definitely better than some of the cheaper ones I've seen, or used for that matter. But it's got good ring area here, support. It's pretty thick. The gasket in the centers, are about 1.6 millimeters, give or take. And then just the outside of it is about 1.76, 1.7-ish in that area. Now this, if you were to do a EW D15a3, if you're looking for a head gasket, I highly recommend the Felpro. It's a much better quality because these engines do tend to pop head gaskets sometimes. So go ahead and open up the Z6 one. So this is just a standard bore Z6 head gasket, MLS. So it's what you'd expect from a standard gasket. The sections between here are 1.7-ish, and then overall thickness is 1.47-ish. So this head gasket will up the compression a little bit once they're compressed. If you look at the two, one is a little bit thicker. This one will probably won't compress much. This will compress a little, but yeah, so this is just the two comparisons of both Felpro gaskets, the MLS and the stock one. So as I was stating, I'm going to go ahead and pull the camera off here so we can get a little bit better look. So I'm going to go ahead and put the gaskets on top of each other, just so you can kind of see the differences, I guess. Like I said, as you can see, I'll try to get the holes lined up as best I can. Most of the bolt holes line up pretty well. There is going to be little variations with the gasket, but this would be on the driver's side or passenger side top corner. That's the one you have to slightly open the bolt hole to fit the stud through. But as I was saying, water jackets wise, this is the EW and the Z6 are fairly close. Like here on the gasket, I could open this up in a little bit, drill a hole there. It's all pretty well there. These I will end up drilling a hole into just to allow water through. There's one here. That's a pretty good fitment. And then, you know, you could, on the Z6 gasket, open this up a little bit here. And then a couple holes here. That's fine there. And then just these two, because there's no actual cooling passages on the stock head gasket over here. I ran into problems with clearance up here with my intake adapter on these, so I'll have to slightly cut those back. But as you can see, for the most part, everything lines up pretty well. There is people that haven't modified these water jackets and they're working fine. There's only like 2 people that I've known to do this. But this brings into another option of you can fit the 88 and up single overhead cam heads on the EW block, but you have to machine out this head bolt hole. It's been done. I've seen it done twice. Timing belt aspect of it, I'm not too sure about, but you know, they are fairly similar in head layout. And realistically, I probably don't even need to add these extra holes, because the gasket I was running before, I didn't do that, but this time I think I'm going to. So I'm going to go ahead and overlay the gasket, and I'm going to put Sharpie where I need to drill holes to add for the cooling. So I will be right back. So all these little holes are what this is the EW head gasket over the Z6. So realistically, I just need to drill a hole here, here. Honestly, I just need to kind of open that one up a little bit. You know, open this one up a little bit more. Add a hole here, and open that one up some more. And then these just need a little bit of finessing. They're not, the gasket doesn't completely cover the access port on the hole. So these two would still get water, which I'll just slightly drill a small hole to help with. And then that's the only real difference on the drain back. It offsets a little bit, but that's not a huge deal. And then just this is how much a little bit bigger the gasket is. I'll have to trim slightly on, I'll test put it up to the head just to see what I have to trim. And then this hole has to be opened a couple millimeters, but that's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these holes drilled, slightly enlarging. I'll probably just drilling the same holes here as I did there. Now drilling the holes isn't gonna hurt anything, because these don't actually see it really, you know, this area is not sealing up against the cylinders or the block, so a slight deburr is not going to hurt anything. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these holes drilled, and then I'll show you how that turned out. All right, so now I'm happy with the water jacket stuff. That's as much as I want to cut up on these. Like I said, these probably aren't as crucial. These are opened up quite a bit. I didn't have any cooling problems before when I didn't modify these holes, so I'm just doing it this time for extra precaution. Plan on throwing a little bit more boost into it. So I'm gonna come over here to the engine and show you that the stud, so you can see you have to modify slightly, enlarging a couple of the holes. And I'm actually, if I recall, you kind of open them up all a smidge bit. It's mainly excuse me. Yeah, you have to modify the holes slightly. It's mainly this corner. So I was wrong. It's not the passenger. It's the water pump side here. This is mainly the one you have to modify, slightly open up. and the rest of it will slide down fairly easy, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and get that modified, and then I'll get back to you. So I kind of lied. It's not this corner. I had the gasket backwards. It's this corner. So this is how off this head bolt is compared to the 88 and up. So it doesn't take much to make that fit and work. Everything else should line up pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and get this side modified, and then we'll come back and lay it down. So now that I have the gasket on, you can see I had to open it up quite a bit over here. Everything else is pretty good fit. You'll have to kind of, at least with the headstones, you got to kind of walk the head gasket down, and then you got to modify slightly right here, because the timing cover kind of keeps that from going all the way down. So I'm going to trim that out a little bit, and then just got to trim back here a smidge, and then I'll be ready to throw the head back on. So I got the head back on, ARPs torqued down to 65 foot-pounds. I like to go a little bit more. So the next thing I'm doing eventually is the water pump, but that's pretty much the rundown on the Z6 head gasket on the EW. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you later.